In this video, I'd like to introduce the BBFF Drumset Editor. Click on the Drumset tab to see a list of your drum sets that are in your project. And these can be dragged and dropped to reorder them, or there's an alphabetical sort to make alphabetical ordering easier. Once you have a selected drum set, you can see the list of instruments that are loaded for that particular drum set. You can add and import instruments. I'll cover those a bit later. And then at the top, we've got the name of the drum set and we've got the overall volume for that drum set. So you can adjust your different drum sets' overall volume so that you can get a better balance between drum sets. Then once you select an instrument, let's select snare here, there are the instrument settings. So you've got whether it's a percussive instrument or a non-percussion instrument. A non-percussion instrument is important for things like note, say you're putting piano or bass or horns or one of those instruments on, then the BeatBuddy will respect a note on, note off, which allows you to constrain the length that the sample is played. So that's important if you're using non-percussive instruments. Then the MIDI ID, this is the MIDI ID mapped. You can select a new MIDI ID from the list and it only shows you the MIDI IDs that are available. So you can move that instrument to another ID assignment. The choke group is important for percussive instruments and allows you to group instruments. For example, if you play an open hi-hat followed by a hi-hat foot, you'll find that the hi-hat chokes like it would on a drum set when the hi-hat's closed. Then the fill choke group and the fill choke delay has to do with fills, and this allows instruments to be grouped together so that when a fill ends, there's usually an accent after the end of the fill, and you don't want that to clash with the first beat of the main loop when it comes in, and so you put those into a choke group, and those are the settings you need for that. The volume of the instrument, again, relative within the drum set, and polyphony is how many of these voices can sound at the same time. Then we have the list of samples. This is the velocity bar, and it shows how those samples are spread across this velocity spectrum. Here are the velocity or samples within a group, and so group 85, velocity 85 and above will be played by these samples here. So you can hear those, and those are all played across this velocity range. I'm going to push and hold and then drag up and down. You see those are all playing across there. We've got the relative volume there indicated and how long each sample is, and that helps you to work with those. The next sample group are in the velocity range 56 to 84, and those are played here. And you can see all the way down at the bottom, in the 0 to 10 range are going to be these, and you can just keep sliding up and seeing how your samples. You can slide across the entire range of your instrument. That gives you a good idea of how your samples are working across the velocity range. You can then adjust the velocity range of a group of samples. You can just grab here and you can increase it. So now this bottom set of samples will go from the range of 0 to 15. And these here will go from 16 to 28. We can increase that a little bit. So it's now 16 to 34. And again, you can test. You can also drag samples between groups. For example, let's say you thought this one fits better with that group. You can just drag that up into that group. And now you've got, clearly it doesn't work very well. Undo is your friend. And so you can move samples around as needed. Okay, so that's editing an instrument. Now let's walk through creating a whole new drum set from scratch. I'm going to use Big Mono from Analog Drums. That's a free sample pack from them. And let's go ahead. So we add a new drum set. We can give it a new name. And then we want to add an instrument. We'll start with the kick drum. Here they provide 12 samples for the kick drum. And we can just drag those across and drop them into the instrument. When you first drop in a range of samples, it will automatically assign them across the velocity range based on their relative sound or their relative volume. And from there, you can adjust it. And you can see it's not quite even out there. And so we can listen to each sample. And maybe we decide those are the same. So we can drag that one up there, and we can drag that one up there. Let's say we decide those are also the same. We'll put those together. And let's take these. You can see the relative volume down here. So we can take the slightly louder ones. And that one can go up there. And this one can go up here. Now we have a fairly even range of samples, and we can listen to them across the range. And maybe from that we decide we want to adjust them slightly, and now listen again. Yeah, let's say we're happy with that. We can add another instrument. Let's add a snare drum. Now we can go across to our samples. I'll skip over the toms quickly. And now we've got all these. Now they've got them in left hand and right hand. And so they are ordered there, left hand and then right hand. We collect all these samples, drag them across. 32 samples, which is too many. Down here you can see there are too many samples. But we want to work through them, and we can discard the ones that we don't want. So we can listen. And as you go, you can listen and decide, and you can just backspace for any ones you don't want. And so you work your way through. Let's just, this is not going to be, I'm just going to go through it quickly. Oh, that one we definitely don't want. That one we don't want. And let's say we don't want that one either. Now we've got enough samples there. Again, we can adjust them as we go. Yeah, happy with that. Now, let's say we want to test that as we go. We can go straight across to songs, pick a song there, and we can change the drum set to our new demo drum set. And now we have unknown instruments because we haven't mapped everything, but we do have the snare and the kick, except this one wants to use, that's probably cross stick. So let's just, oh no, that'll be hi-hat, and it's using. So let's just take those instruments there and move them up to snare, and let's listen to this drum set. Yeah, not a complete kit, but we're getting the feel for what our kit is doing. And we can go back to the drum set and continue to work with that. Now let's say we want, rather than to use the big mono hi-hat, we want to bring in a hi-hat from our rock kit. So we can click import, select the rock kit, and now we can go across and we can find the hi-hats closed. Let's say we want to bring in the foot and the open as well. Now I'm command clicking on those to collect them, and then I can import all three of those. And so now I brought those in to this kit as well. You see they come in with all the information from the previous one. We're on choke group 1, the foot also on choke group 1, hi-hat open on choke group 1. You can edit multiple instruments, so I can select all three of those. I held shift and selected all of them. And let's say I want to put those all on choke group 2, I can do that. I can adjust their relative volume. Everything can be adjusted for the whole group if I want to. And I can go back to hi-hat closed, choke group 2, and you can see they've all been updated to that. Now I can go back to my song and I can listen to it. And that's the drum set editor. I hope you find it useful, and if there are things that you would like to see in it that could improve it, please let me know. Send me an email at support@bbff.rocks.